Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the hidden mechanics of global finance, and honestly, more importantly, how those mechanics directly impact your wallet. We so often think of finance as just, the numbers sitting in our bank accounts, but it's actually this massive, interconnected matrix of risk, trust, and yeah, some pretty hidden traps. Here's our roadmap for today. First, global finance's hidden brain. Second, the shadow banking network. Third, the invisible debt trap. And finally, your wealth building ladder. Let's jump right in. Starting off with Section 1, Global Finance's Hidden Brain. Who really owns the world? Now, if you spend any time on the internet, you've almost certainly heard the rumor that a company called BlackRock owns absolutely every major corporation out there. We're talking Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, you name it. But the boring, yet honestly far more dangerous truth is that their real power isn't in outright ownership at all. It's actually in information, technology, and risk management. And the crazy part? It all started with a massive, massive failure. This whole empire kicked off back in 1986. A rising Wall Street star named Larry Fink lost a staggering $100 million on a single bad interest rate bet. I mean, ouch, right? He realized right then that he'd been flying totally blind. Sure, he had great instincts, but he didn't have a mathematical, real-time way to actually measure risk. That devastating failure is what pushed him to found BlackRock in a single room in 1988, which completely changed the game for how Wall Street operates. To make sure he literally never flew blind again, Fink and his team built a system called Aladdin. Think of Aladdin kind of like a super smart farmer who tracks the weather, soil, and pests across, say, 500 acres to perfectly predict crop losses. But instead of crops, Aladdin is doing millions of calculations every single second on global financial assets. It's constantly asking, what happens if interest rates go up 1%? Or what if the specific currency crashes? It completely replaced gut feelings with cold, hard, real-time data. So that $100 million mistake? It forced him to build a tool that was so incredibly essential that other massive institutions, think huge pension funds and insurance companies, actually started paying him to use it. And here's the absolute genius part of all this. By letting others use Aladdin, BlackRock got a front row seat to see exactly where the rest of the world was putting their money. People willingly handed BlackRock the keys to all their financial data, turning them into the ultimate global information powerhouse. Moving right along to Section 2, the shadow banking network. So what happens when the formal banking system is just way too expensive, too slow, or literally inaccessible for migrant workers? Well, they don't just give up. Instead, they turn to a 1,400-year-old system called Hawala. It operates completely off the grid, and as you can see, the difference in fees and speed between these two worlds is honestly like night and day. Okay, so what exactly is it? The word hawala literally translates to transfer or trust. And here's how the magic happens. Let's say a worker in Mumbai wants to send money back home to Lucknow. He hands his cash over to a local operator and gets a really simple code in return. Then a partnered operator over in Lucknow gets a call, the worker's family provides that code, and boom, they get the cash that exact same day. No physical money actually moved between those two cities. Only trust was transferred. The operators just settle their running balances with each other later on. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth does a system with zero courts and zero contracts actually survive? Well, it thrives strictly on community reputation. Take Salim Bai, for example. He's a construction worker in the UAE. Over the course of 12 years, by using Hawala instead of traditional pricey bank transfers to send money to his family in Hyderabad, he saved nearly 2 lakh rupees just in fees. In this network, your reputation is literally your only currency. If an operator decides to cheat someone, they are permanently exiled from the entire network. Now, let's be super clear about something here. This system is strictly illegal in places like India. And yes, it is absolutely used for money laundering and hiding wealth. But its sheer, stubborn persistence proves a really fundamental rule of finance. Hawala is an economic solution to a broken systems gap. Basically, when a formal system completely fails the unbanked, an informal system is always going to rise up and fill that void. All right, let's zoom in on your personal finances for Section 3, the invisible debt trap. I want you to mentally grab a calculator right now. Think about your total monthly EMI payments and divide that by your in-hand salary. If you do this, you might just find out that you're part of this honestly terrifying statistic, 42%. Yep,
42% of urban salaried Indians are spending over half of their entire income on EMIs. They're stuck in this slow-motion financial crisis. And the scary part is, a lot of people don't even realize it because of how cleverly the trap is designed. Let's look at how this sneaks up on you, using a guy named Arjun as our example. So Arjun makes 78,000 rupees a month. It usually starts with what we call an anchor EMI. In his case, a massive 24,500 rupee car loan. Once your brain accepts that one huge anchor payment, a 9,800 rupee personal loan suddenly feels kind of small, right? And then a 3,200 rupee buy now pay later charge feels like absolutely nothing. But before he even knew what hit him, Arjun was drowning, with almost 60% of his salary completely gone before the month even started.
Arjun basically fell victim to these 5 EMI traps. And I really want to point out trap number 3, because it is mathematically devastating. The minimum payment illusion. Look, if you have a credit card balance and you only pay that 3% minimum that the bank cheerfully asks for every month, the staggering interest rate means it could take you 22 years. Yes, you heard that right. 22 years to clear that debt. It'll cost you an absolute fortune in interest. Believe me, the banks know exactly what they're doing here. So where do you stand? When you sit down and calculate your real EMI ratio, and please make sure you include those invisible buy now pay later charges and those sneaky auto-renewing subscriptions, where do you land? Are you in the green, the yellow, or the red zone? If you find yourself in the red zone, meaning you're over 50%, you've got to stop taking on new debt immediately and start aggressively paying down what you owe. You simply cannot build wealth while you're bleeding out from interest. Which brings us to our final section, number 4, your wealth building ladder.
If you want to actually build financial freedom, I want you to consider this analogy. A high salary absolutely does not guarantee security. Income is really just a flowing stream. It comes in, and if you have high EMIs, it flows right back out. True wealth, though, is a water tank. It's the water you actually manage to capture, store, and accumulate over time. At the end of the day, your net worth is what gives you freedom, not your monthly paycheck.
So how do we actually build that tank? You climb the wealth ladder. And the golden rule here is that you absolutely have to adapt your strategy to the specific step you're currently on. If you're down in step 1, which is survival mode, your only job is to increase your skills and boost your income. Trying to use some level 3 aggressive investing strategy when you don't even have a level 2 emergency fund built up, that's just going to completely ruin you. You have to play the level you're actually on. But if you climb this ladder patiently and you let compound interest do its heavy lifting in step 3, you'll eventually reach step 4, ownership. And when you finally hit that stage, there's this absolutely fascinating concept called the 0.01% rule. Basically, it dictates that you can spend exactly 0.01% of your total net worth every single day, completely guilt-free. Why? Because your systems and your equity are back there generating far more than that behind the scenes. Which leaves us with one final, really vital question. What step of the ladder are you currently on right now? Honestly, you need to stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Figure out exactly which system is serving you, map out your real debts, and take back control of your financial freedom today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.